Since Miami High.
Yes, the high school sports show. Remember you used to have the high school sports show?
Yes.
We talk about that.
Yes.
Let's talk about it. Let's go right into it.
Yeah, Dad used to have this high school sports show that used to come on every weekend, and they used to feature the players who had good games throughout the week. And
were you ever on there?
All the time, needless to say.
Yeah.
I felt like a regular on Dan's show, by the way.
He was a champion. Frank Martin was the coach, right?
Yes.
I think, and I don't want to get too deep in the weeds here, it's a positive experience. I think he was being shipped in from Miramar to play in Miami because he was so good at basketball. We won't talk about that. They won the championship, obviously.
No, feel free to talk
I don't
about
know
it.
what he's talking about.
Okay, I don't know. I don't know what the addresses were.
Hey, Dan, listen. I looked at that roster every year. It was always a 27-year-old from somewhere playing.
On whose team?
On whose team?
Man, stop it.
You feathers?
Stop it. Listen, let me tell you something. I will admit this. When I relocated back to Miami, was I necessarily in Miami High's school zone? No. But that didn't matter.
No, it
was the best situation for me as a kid. I knew what I wanted to do. I knew where I wanted to go in life. So I did what I had to do to get there.
Listen, I don't hate on it at all.
You know what I'm saying?
I don't hate on it at all.
Yeah, of course not. We ain't going to get into those stories. But listen, the truth about that is, I'll say this. If I wouldn't have went to Miami High, I wouldn't be sitting here today. So I made a sacrifice that I needed to make to put myself in a position to succeed and be successful. And that was all that I was about. I needed the discipline from Frank Martin. I needed the coaching from Frank Martin. I needed the work ethic from Frank Martin because then I was lazy. You know what I'm saying? So those were things that I needed. You know what I'm saying? And the only place I can get those things was from Frank Martin at Miami High.
It makes me happy all the time. He's got a relationship with my father. He's really kind to my mother. But seeing him so skinny and healthy all the time as a grown-up professional in many ways, but also when he says he was undisciplined at the University of Florida, how much were you weighing?
275.
275. Like always a talent, but through work and will and everything else, it makes no sense that someone of this general size would lead the Miami Heat career in rebounds. I'm not like that.
All right, Dan, now take it easy.
It's the truth.
God damn it, now enough.
But you tell me if I'm wrong. Look, Alonzo Mourning, great rebounder, giant of a man.
Yeah.
You have to have a pretty substantive will to be in this frame and bang against that. For him to be the leading rebounder in league in team history is amazing.
Dan, I'm gonna tell you a story. I've shared it on here before, so everyone that's listening, please forgive me. But I drop him off at the airport when he goes overseas after he goes undrafted. Right? He was the Florida Udonis, right? Florida UD. I go pick him up a year later, and I'd passed him twice, didn't recognize him. But he did. He figured it like it was. He's always at Florida. I don't know Miami High, but at Florida he was always a hard ass worker, and he dominated college basketball. But the fact that he came back looking like that, I was like, okay.
But I'm not kidding you when I tell you like an inspiration physically because I've always struggled with my weight. Like to see him be teaching me stuff from back then there are very few athletes that I've covered as long as I've covered him. It's basically him and Alex Rodriguez. That's the list from high school.
That's love. Well, I would say this. You inspired me. And you inspired me, and I don't know if you remember.
Not this again.
You inspired me.
Look, he's been holding on a second.
Listen, he's inspired me.
He's been holding on to this for 20 years.
I'm just saying. I remember the article. It was right when we signed Shaquille O'Neal to the Miami Heat. And an article comes out that says Shaquille O'Neal has never won with a power forward under 6'10". Now, he didn't say my name, but clearly
I knew better. I knew better than to say his name. I knew better.
I have not touched 6'10".
Hey, did you go to see your tape measure?
No, I immediately said I will kick Travis Knight's ass. And this had nothing to do with you, Travis Knight, so I apologize. But the fact that Travis Knight could win with Shaq, and I couldn't?
Look, I'm not going to say the man next to you that you know to be very tough can be sensitive about things.
That was inspiration.
Him reaching and holding on to that little ball of resentment for 25 years to hit me with it now is remembering something that was barely a slight. And a fact. Someone physically smaller than 6'10" hadn't won a championship with Shaquille O'Neal.
Until when, UD?
Until me.
That's right.
But it was never an issue where I had an issue with Dan, but immediately it's like, I'm going to show you. And that was all those moments in my career who brought me to who I am, man. And you know what I'm saying?
You did. You showed all of us in a lot of different ways. Like when I admire the things he is from high school on, it includes, after George Floyd, as a spokesman for the city, for the Miami Heat, for the police department. The man the Heat sent out was not Pat Riley or Mickey Harrison. They asked him, their best soldier, to do it for them, and he's just been that in our community for a long time. Like, the authenticity of Udonis Haslem, I hope people watching this understand the treasure that this show is, that, especially for Miami, that these two guys share this with their friendship with you.
We appreciate it. Well, I will say this, and we did the introduction, but you are a legend in the journalism field.
You have given us flowers, but we got to give you yours.
And so I guess what I would ask in return is give us some advice. We're just getting into this. We're trying to figure out this side of the thing. So we were basketball players our entire life. Now we got to come on this side of it. Give us some advice on what we should look at.
Okay, man, you got everything over here. You got agents, you got TV, you got drug dealers. It's all this over here. Like, we do everything over here. I mean, I work with the Flowery. He an agent. He represent players. Like, just give us advice because you got everything on this thing.
Wow, thank you. That makes it sound like I know what I'm doing. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur. I did take some very good advice from Pat Riley many years ago. We were doing a larger story about life and work, and he was saying if it were possible, what he would advise anybody in work who was working hard to change careers every 10 years. It's not possible, from law to doctor, so you can always be reinvigorated on the hunger. You guys are now, after 20 years, on a different kind of path. So I've done writing, and then 10 years later, I did radio, I did television, so this is the forced entrepreneurial part of my career. And what I've learned, especially when you have the real power and strength of brand that you guys have, where people like you and they feel like they know you, is you cannot let anybody make you anyone other than yourselves. When you're presenting on First Take or here, that you are speaking truly, people will gravitate, especially now, to authentic people and things. And so no matter how much pressure you get from anybody, from the economy of all of this, you should make your own choices about when you want to be clickbait, when you want to protect the people you care about, and you should make this a family business in all the ways that he has learned that the Miami Heat are the family business.
You said it, you went from writing to radio to TV, and it's all kind of a loaded, hard question, but what did you enjoy most? What did you learn from those things? What was you felt was the biggest impact?
Writing was the most fulfilling. It was the hardest, and so it was the most fulfilling. Television was a really unusual blessing because I got to get old with my father on television and have a different relationship with my father in adulthood than I had as a child, with sports as the bond. So, like, that's really personal. And then radio was the most fun and the most communal because writing is super lonely. It's not a team sport. I imagine you guys you wouldn't miss tennis if tennis, because the locker room is some of what you miss.
Exactly right.
The sharing, the joy. I'm not even going to call it joy because you guys got championship joy, but the work ain't very joyous around the Miami Heat or in competition. Like fighting people for money is unpleasant, which is what you're doing now in business. So I don't know that I answered the question, but what I'm doing now and trying to figure out the evolution of all of those things while taking care of 50 employees, a family business, a media business in Miami. I'm proud of that. My father's a Cuban exile, came to this country for freedom. My brother was an artist, and in the arts, I'm able to do like a creative, free thing. And so I'm proud that, and I get to do it here across from the arena, like a business built next to the arena because of all of the things you guys built there.
You talk about Poppy. Whose idea is this? Because this is fantastic.
I think this is genius.
This is genius.
To include your father.
No doubt.
And he has charisma. He's funny. I mean, he's quick-witted. Like, whose idea was that?
Okay, so
look at the screen. This is the best. I mean, that right there, that's a wall.
This is a great story. You're bringing up a couple of great memories for me here. One of them is the hardest I've ever seen Udonis laugh. I've seen him cry. I've seen him cry in a locker room. He still denies it, but I've seen him cry.
There's champagne in my eye.
Okay.
It burned.
Yeah, and I've seen him laugh very hard to the point that I returned into the studio and my father was physically holding up Udonis, who was laughing, because he was watching my father doing videos with people like Lil Wayne where he does collaborations with them. But this particular story is funny because Lil Wayne comes in the studio. He's got all the Lil Wayne people.
Yeah.
It's just a giant plume of marijuana smoke that comes in.
We call that cologne.
Yeah, that's
we call that cologne. You know?
I got to ask you about Antoine. I've wanted an Antoine for a long time. I've got to ask you about this. The thing that happened here was Lil Wayne comes in, and he is behaving around my father. I'm not lying to you guys. The way a 5-year-old at Disney would behave around seeing its favorite cartoon character for the first time. Yeah. He's hiding behind my leg. He's looking at him. I'm not kidding you. He's got $100,000 in diamonds in his mouth, and he leaves, and my father's affable, and Lil Wayne was totally starstruck. And as soon as Lil Wayne leaves, my father looks at me with that accent and says, "Who the was that?"
Hey, hold on. Now that we got the story, play the clip.
Are you high right now? Do you ever get nervous? Are you single? I hear you. You're a girl. Is it true? You getting money? You think them dudes you with is with you? And I say, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Right. All right. And I say, hell yeah, hell yeah, hell yeah. Right. All right.
So deep, bro. You're a trap legend, bro.
I mean, that's awesome right there, though.
That's amazing.
You can't play enough of those for me. Like that. So I didn't answer your question, though. I really don't remember where it started. I can't pretend that it was anybody's great idea. But once we started doing it, I don't know if it was suggested by somebody. We did it with Luther Campbell one time. I think if you guys found the one with Luther Campbell, find that one with Luther Campbell where we dissolved laughing. I think that's where we started it back when we did the show in Hialeah, and it was a fake Cuban kitchen. I'd like to watch that with you guys. I think you guys will find that one funny.
We'll pull that up. But you said you had a question for him.
Well, yeah. Well, I hope I'm assuming, because you always are just a very real person, and I assume that this endeavor is authentic, like all your endeavors are. You probably didn't even know about this, but on the radio, because the only public blemish on your record in 25 years of master professionalism is something happened with an arrest and a car and marijuana, and took the hit. And I assumed that you had it on staff, and I wanted it on staff so that you could get in trouble.
He talking about Drac.
You talking about Drac?
You know him as
Drac's my homeboy.
So somebody who was so about Udonis Haslem that, of course, that stain would not end up on Udonis Haslem is taking the hit on that, because he has learned that Udonis Haslem must be protected.
Well, first things first,
Drac.
Dan, is we ain't supposed to say his real name.
Well, okay, but I didn't know that.
Today it's Drac.
Drac.
Okay.
We're going to say Drac. We're going to leave it at
In this room.
No, Drac is not here today. Drac is not here today. First of all, how the hell did you know that? That's what I need to know.
That's called media.
It was reported in the newspaper. That was not my news. It was reported, and then I read about that, and
Tell the story.
Yeah, we were pulled over. We were arrested, and
Cologne?
There was marijuana in the car. You know what I'm saying? And it was under the passenger seat, and I was in the driver's seat.
Oh, so it was Drac's fault.
How can you put it on me?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But they didn't want to hear that. Let's just say I got put in a cell with like 10 people that weekend, and he got the cell by himself. Oh yeah, that's how they did me, killer. They did me dirty. Yeah, they had me sitting on the curb in a white beater in the rain.
What?
Oh yeah, they did me dirty. But at the end of the day, my record got expunged. I got found not guilty, and that's how it went. But
a model citizen. I'm sorry to bring up your dirt, Udonis. I thought I'd give some people the clicks to find out. Udonis isn't as clean as he always seems.
Innocent to proven guilty. And I'm still innocent.
Exactly
innocent
right.
to prove. And now it's legal,
Exactly
so they can't bother me. I got my card and everything. You want to see it? We've got just a few games left this season, with 8 teams battling out to make the conference championship. Get in on the action right now with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Don't let this slip away. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up. Use code OGs. The crown is yours. Stay in on all the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of live betting? DraftKings got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not available in your state, don't even worry about it. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code OGs and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code OGs only on DraftKings Sportsbook.